Hey guys, Callum here and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to be doing a series ranking of Doctor Who from Series 1 to Series 10. And the reason I'm doing this is because Series 11 is literally about to end this week on Sunday night. Make sure to actually check that out, my review for it on the Sunday it airs, because I'm interested to see how things go. Anyway, but since Series 11 is literally about to finish, I decided to go through a ranking of all the other series of NewWho, since I haven't actually before explained what I think is good and what I think is bad in terms of what series do I think is good and what series do I think are bad. So I decided I'm going to do a whole ranking of all the series from 1 to 10, not including the specials from Series 4 or the specials from like Day of the Doctor. I'm not including like Christmas episodes or anything like that, I think that's a separate list, but is the series of episodes 1 to 13 of the series, or 1 to 12, just all the main prime episodes of the series. So for example, Series 1 would be from Rose all the way to Parting of the Ways, not including the Christmas special, the Christmas Invasion, and then if you go to Series 2, it's from New Earth all the way up to Doomsday, so on and so forth. You get the idea. Right, let's start off the list with the worst series in my opinion. Again, these are my opinions, you can think of something different, you can tell me what your favourite series are, so everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So, at number 10, I have Series 7 of Doctor Who. Series 7, it holds a particular space on this list for a very, very important reason. The reason why I have Series 7 at the very bottom, I don't think that really surprises anybody, but for me it's for a very specific reason. Series 7 was the series that made me stop watching Doctor Who. And it was quite early on. The last episode I had watched of Doctor Who from Series 7 all the way up to when I came back to watch Doctor Who, which was the return of Dr. Mysterio. So the episode that I last watched was A Town Called Mercy. So I didn't even get to the second half of the series, like Series 7B. I didn't get to that part because I just thought at this point, I was basically just done watching it. I wasn't finding anything interesting about the show. I was bored of Matt Smith, to be completely honest. I was bored of Amy and Rory. I was bored of the whole just everything about the show. It just felt like the same thing over and over again, and I just wasn't a fan of it. And then when I came back to watch it, Series 7B was the worst era of NewWho for me. Absolutely. Episodes like Cold War, High, Journey to the Centre of the TARDIS, The Crimson Horror, Nightmare in Silver, all of those episodes are extremely average and bad. Nothing about those episodes to me screams out anything interesting. I just was not a fan of the series. I think it was just extremely bland and it's no real substance to it. The series arc of Series 7, having it all just be about Clara, with her not having an actual character, all the characters she gets is that she's the impossible girl. Just everything about her just screams boring. It just screams boring. Nothing about it is interesting. Not to me anyway. And the only good thing about Series 7B is literally the name of the Doctor at the very end, where we see John Hurt and it says introducing John Hurt as the Doctor, which leads into Day of the Doctor, which is separate from this list. That's the only bright spark of this whole series. Other than that, the only episodes I actually like are The Angels Take Manhattan, and even then I don't think it's that good. So that's Series 7. Number 9, Series 6. Yep, again, you can see sort of pattern how I think Series 6 is just not very good. In Series 6 there are very, very good episodes. There are. Impossible Astronaut and Day of the Moon, I think is a fantastic two-parter. The Doctor's Wife, I think, is a bloody good episode. I think it's one of the best. A Good Man Goes to War, I think, is a was the last truly good episode of Doctor Who until a certain point. But the series arc for Series 6 is River Song. That is the season arc, and how she kills the Doctor, and learning about how she's related to the Doctor, and having River Song be related to Amy and Rory, them having River Song be their daughter, was a very disappointing revelation. And the second half of Series 6 as well, because this was also split up into two halves. There's only one good episode. There's two good episodes in the second half of Series 6, and that's The Girl Who Waited and The God Complex. Other than that, everything else is poor, and then you have Rebel Flesh and Ominous People, which I don't mind. I don't mind it, but it's not that interesting. And then Curse of the Black Spot. The less said about it, the better. I just don't feel very interested in Series 6. I think the arc is not good. I think it's just not that good. And then you got The Wedding of River Song, which I think is probably one of the worst finales of the series of New Who. It legitimately is probably one of the worst. Just everything about it just screams bad. I don't really want to talk about Series 6 anymore, so let's move on to number 8, Series 8. Peter Capaldi's first series as the Doctor. And to be really honest, I don't think Series 8 is all bad. You've got Mummy on the Orient Express, you've got Flatline, and Listen, but then that's pretty much it. Deep Breath I don't think is a very good opening episode for Peter Capaldi. I think Into the Dalek, while it's interesting, doesn't really have any interesting aspects other than going into a Dalek and it being a good Dalek. Robot of Sherwood is a very just bland, boring episode. Time Heist I think is actually an interesting concept, but it doesn't really hold much more than that. The Caretaker is just bland and boring as well. Kill the Moon is fucking awful. It is so bad. And then you have In the Forest of the Night, which is probably one of the worst episodes of Doctor Who in history. And then you've got the 2-part finale, the Cybermen 2-part finale. Dark Water I actually quite like. I actually think it's quite an interesting concept, I think. But the whole people going into this weird world after they die is not in the best taste. And then you've got Death in Heaven, which is a train wreck of a finale. Just this series, for it being just bland. But then you get Clara when it becomes the Clara show. Not yet, but at least with this series, Clara actually gets somewhat of a character, but it's not a good character. And then you have Missy, who in this series I don't really like. I actually do like Missy, and I like Michelle Gomez's incarnation take on the Master. I just feel like in Series 8 is the worst part of Missy, just in my humble opinion. And that's really all I have to say about Series 8. So moving on to number 7, Series 2, David Tennant's first series as the Doctor. This is an interesting one because I remember watching this when it came out. I remember not really even watching Series 1. I had a DVD of Series 1 of a couple of episodes, but I actually remember like watching a few bits of this series because when I was younger I never really watched the show. Well, I know I loved the show as a kid, but obviously because I had just tended not to like see it. But I remember a lot of these episodes. But the big downer I have for this series is the fact that some of the episodes are the worst of Who. Basically that New Earth is it's probably the worst opener of New Who for a series. Tooth and Claw I actually like. I think it's a very cool episode, and I think the CGI for the wolf for 2006 is quite good. School Reunion Mwah, beautiful episode. Fucking love School Reunion, the return of Sarah J. Smith. Go on the Fireplace. Go on the Fireplace is an interesting one because I'm not as big a fan of it as everybody else is, but I still think it's really, really good. The Cybermen 2-parter I really, really like, and it's that is sort of the arc of the whole series, the parallel worlds and Torchwood as well. So Torchwood actually get mentions in Tooth and Claw though, and that's the sort of the series arc because it gets mentioned every couple of episodes. Then you got Idiot's Lantern, which is shit. And then you got the Impossible Planet Satan Pit 2-parter, which, people don't talk about that 2-parter enough. That two-parter is fucking incredible. It's so good. It's so good. And then you got the shit 2-parter. Even though it's not a 2-parter, but let's be honest, these two are probably one of the worst episodes of New Who. Love and Monsters and Fear Hair, but I actually quite like Love and Monsters because it's bad, but it's so good, I think. It's one of those episodes where I do not wish that Love and Monsters did not exist. I'm so glad Love and Monsters exists, even though it's fucking dog shit. It's just something about it that you can't not love about it, in a way. But then you got Fear Her, which is just shit. Even though I don't personally think it's as, bad as people say, I still think it's shit, though. And then you've got the 2-parter Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. This is fantastic, this is. This is just a fantastic 2-parter. Just, even if you don't like, the reason why this is so, down on my list, even though I'm saying I love a lot of these episodes, the arc of Rose and the Doctor, while I don't hate it, and I do like the chemistry between Billie Piper and David Tennant, I'm not a huge fan of the romance, even though I actually do like. It's a weird thing. I don't hate the romance. I like it, but I think it could have been done so much better, especially with Rose's character. I think she's very self-centered and she's very snarky, which is completely different from Series 1, so yeah. But the beach scene in Doomsday, and the fact that the Daleks come back in Armored of Ghosts, is a fantastic cliffhanger. I love it, I absolutely love it, but Series 2 is number 7 on the list, but it's still a decent series. Then you have, at number 6, Series 9, which I think is going to be quite interesting because a lot of people probably either have this at the bottom of their list or near the top of their list. This is sort of in the middle because I think there's quite a few good episodes in this series. I think the Under the Lake and Before the Flood 2-parter is the best 2-parter in this series. And then you have Face the Raven, which I think is a really, really good episode. And then you have Heaven Sent. Oh my god, Heaven Sent is one of the best episodes of Doctor Who in history. Without a doubt, Heaven Sent is fucking masterpiece. And then you have everything else. You have the 2-parter in the beginning with the Daleks, The Magician's Apprentice, and The Witch's Familiar. Do not rate that 2-parter at all. Do not think it's as good as people say it is. The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived, that is not a 2-parter. That is 2 separate stories. I don't know why people think that that's a 2-parter, but they make it seem like it's a 2-parter because it's not. It is dog shit. Both of those episodes are dog shit. And then Sleep No More. Less about Sleep No More, the better. And then you have Hellbent. Holy crap. It's the 5th of December right now. Is it not? I think it is. Yeah, it's the 5th of December right now. It is the 3-year anniversary of Hellbent. Hellbent, while I don't think it's the worst episode of Doctor Who, I think it's pretty fucking shit. The whole series arc is Clara being the main focal point, and I do not like it because I don't like Clara. I just hate Clara. I think she's the worst part of Series 9, and I think she's the worst part of Series 8. Just it becoming about her rather than the Doctor is why this series is one of the worst arcs. Even though I put it high on my list, I put it at number 6. Doesn't mean that's not bad. It's just the episodes in this series that are good bump it up for me. Heaven Sent and Under the Lake and Face the Raven are the reason why this is so high up. Other than that, everything else is kind of dog shit to me, in my opinion. Apart from the Zygon inversion Doctor speech. That is fantastic. That is fantastic writing. And you can tell that Stephen Moffat wrote that because he didn't write the first episode, but he wrote with Peter Harness. He wrote with him in this episode. So, you know he wrote that speech. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. And number 5, at the halfway point, Series 10. Series 10 is an interesting one because this was the first series I watched after returning to watching Doctor Who. And this is kind of the most average series, I would say, in Doctor Who, because there are bad episodes and there's fucking great ones. Pilot is a good introduction. I like the pilot because literally it was like me being reintroduced to the series, and I quite liked it. Smile was okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought it'd be. Thin Ice, I actually didn't like it at first, but then rewatching it, I actually do quite like it. Knock Knock, I think, is a shit episode. I just don't like Knock Knock. Oxygen is great. Extremists, when I first watched it, didn't get it at all. Rewatched it, I really liked it. And then you have the Pyramid at the End of the World, and then The Lie of the Land. Awful episodes. Poor, just blah episodes. And then you have Empress of Mars. Just another Mark Gatiss episode, which is just boring. Then you have Eaters of Light. I fucking hate Eaters of Light. I fucking hate it. Absolutely hate. I absolutely hate Eaters of Light. I think it's just one of the worst episodes in Doctor Who, and no one talks about how fucking awful it is enough. Bloody hate Eaters of Light. But then you have What Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls, which is bloody fantastic. Should have been Peter Capaldi's last episode. Even though I don't mind, I actually quite like Twice Upon a Time. What Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls should have been Peter Capaldi's last episodes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just hate that Chibnall did not decide to do the Christmas special. Guess he doesn't want to do Christmas episodes because we're having a New Year's episode this year. Anyway, let's move on to number 4. Series 3. Series 3, I think, is one of the most underrated series in Doctor Who, in New Who. I think Series 3 is really, really good. And you know why? Because the good episodes in this series, the really good ones, are some of the best in the show's history. Let's look at the first half of the series, right? Smith and Jones. I think that's a really good episode. Smith and Jones is a bloody fantastic episode. And it's really just a nice introduction for a new companion, because I think Martha is one of the most underrated companions in the show's history. I don't particularly like the whole Doctor dealing with Rose Tyler, like losing Rose Tyler, and then having Martha be the rebound, even though she's not Rose 2.0. Martha is her own character, and her arc is great. Just that sort of dynamic thing isn't the best. The Shakespeare Code, it's okay, it's not great. Gridlock I actually have grown to love over the years. At first I wasn't that kind on it, and then I sort of thought, it's alright, it's okay. And then you got Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks. While I do not think that these episodes are good, I think the story they're trying to tell is extremely interesting. The whole human Dalek element, while the design isn't fantastic, I think that concept is quite interesting, and it becoming more human-like, I think is really, really cool. And why I don't hate Daleks in Manhattan 2-parter as much as I do. Then you got the Lazarus Experiment, which is I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it's not fantastic and it's not good. It's just okay. The CGI is pretty bad. And then you have probably the most boring episode of the series. Funnily enough, written by Chris Chibnall. 42. 42 has only 2 good things in this episode. The Martha calling her mum aspects of the episode, and the one scene where Martha's stuck in the escape pod and the doctor is saying, "I'll save you." I fucking love that scene, and no one talks about it enough. I fucking love that scene. And then everything else is kind of just shit. It's just boring. And then we get to the second half of the series. Human Nature, The Family of Blood, Blink, Utopia, The Sound of Drums, Last of the Time Lord. All of them are fantastic written episodes. All of them. All of them are the best Doctor Who. It just is the best string of episodes in the show's history apart from one. And you'll probably know what that is when we get to it, because we have a couple more series to go. But Jesus Christ, Human Nature and Family, Blood, Blink, Utopia, The Sound of Drums, and The Last of the Time Lords. Oh my god, you cannot get any better than that. Week by week, fantastic episodes of Doctor Who. You just can't beat that. In terms of consistency, you just can't. No one talks about how good Series 3 is enough. Some people put it near the bottom of their list. Hell no, it should be pretty much in the top half at least. It's fucking great. It's so good. Blink, while I do not think it's the best episode of Doctor Who ever, I'm glad it's the most known episode of Doctor Who. Like, oh my god, it is so good. It is so good. You got Human Nature, Family of Blood. That is a fantastic 2-parter. Probably one of my favourite 2-parters ever. And then you got Utopia. Oh, Utopia is bloody fantastic. And then you've got Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords, which I think the first part is bloody great, and I think Last of the Time Lords is really, really good too. I think the Doctor being a god kind of thing isn't fantastic, but I think everything else is great. And John Sim as the Master. I love John Sim. I'm sorry, if you don't like John Sim as the Master, fine. For me personally, I think he's fucking great. I think he's bloody fantastic. And that's Series 3. What a series. Up next, and number 3, Series 1. Series 1 is probably the most consistent series of the show, I would say. In terms of no episode is extremely, extremely bad. Rose is a great introduction after the show has been off the air for a number of years. End of the World and The Unquiet Dead, they're okay episodes. These episodes are good if you're first watching the show. And then Aliens of London and World War 3, I don't hate. I actually quite like those episodes. It's very nostalgic for me, I would say. And then you've got Dalek. Oh my god. Robert Sherman, please come back and write an episode of Doctor Who, because, so good. And then you've got The Long Game. Not bad, but it's the worst episode I'd say on the series, for me personally. Then Father's Day. Oh, Father's Day is so good. It's so good. Bloody love Father's Day. Pete Tyler, one of the best side characters in some of his limited appearances. He's only in like 4 episodes. He's in 5 episodes, and that's it. And he's one of the best side characters in the series. Then Empty Child and Doctor Dances. Oh my god, Stephen Moffat's first story in Doctor Who. Oh, so good! I'm only on the 3rd one. Imagine what I'm going to be for the next 2, because you know what they are. And then you've got Boomtown, which I think is quite good actually. And the fact that apparently that Russell T Davies didn't write it until like a couple months before the series aired is brilliant. And then Beowulf and Parting of the Ways. One of the best regeneration stories ever. And what a send-off for Christopher Eccleston. Oh my god. Bloody fantastic. Bloody fantastic. Okay, and then at number 2, Series 5. Matt Smith's first series as the Doctor. Series 5 is one of the best series of Doctor Who. It has one of the best finales. It has the best introduction episode for a Doctor, and some individual fantastic episodes. Series 5, you've got 11th Hour is a fantastic opener. Beast Below is okay. Victory of the Daleks is, again, another Mark Gatiss episode which isn't very good. Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone I really like. I think Flesh and Stone kind of ruins the Angels for me, but I think as a two-parter it's really good. Vampires in Venice is not terrible but not great. Amy's Choice, I think, is the one episode that no one talks about enough. And I bloody love Amy's Choice. I think Amy's Choice is bloody fantastic. And then Chris Chibnall was back with Hungry Earth and Cold Blood. I don't hate those episodes, but they're definitely the most boring episodes of the series. Then you've got Vincent and the Doctor. Vincent and the Doctor is masterpiece. It's an absolute masterpiece. I bloody love that episode. And I don't like it as much as everybody else does, because some people put this like near the top of their list as best episodes. I wouldn't, but I still think Vincent and the Doctor is bloody great. Bloody great. Then you've got The Lodger, which I don't think is a bad episode, but I just don't love it as much as everybody else does. And then you have the fantastic two-parter, The Pandorica Opens and The Big Bang. Oh, that two-parter is probably one of the best two-parters. Just everything about it I love. I think I love the whole crack storyline of the arc. Everything about it is great. So this series overall is just... it's a great series. It's a great debut series from Matt Smith. So now let's get to number 1. And number 1, you know what this is. Series 4. Series 4, without a doubt, is the best series of Doctor Who for one reason and one reason only. Donna Noble, and also actually another reason. In my opinion, there is not a single objectively bad episode in this series. I just think that. I think Doctor's Daughter, while it's a mess, I think it has good aspects to it. And the Sontaran two-parter is fun and silly, and it has a message and it's focused. Partners in Crime, great introduction to bring back Donna. Fires of Pompeii, bloody fantastic episode. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Planet of the Ood. Oh, fantastic. Absolutely great. The Sontaran two-parter, as I said, it's not fantastic, but it's good. It's got a message and it focuses on that. The Doctor's Daughter is a mess, but it has one of the best things in it, and that's Donna Noble. Unicorn and the Wasp, I think it's campy, I think it's fun, and it's silly. And I like that. Just simple as, I like that. Then you got Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. God, that's such a good two-parter. God, that is such a good two-parter. Just everything about it is bloody great. Bloody love that two-parter. Midnight, one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever. Ever. Turn Left, same thing. Then you got the two-parter, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. The combination of the first 4 series of Doctor Who. Plenty of characters come back from even from series 1, and it rounds off everyone's story well. And Donna Noble's arc in this series is masterpiece of writing. Everything about these episodes and this series as a whole, this was the peak of Doctor Who. In my opinion, this was the peak of Doctor Who. David Tennant and Catherine Tate have amazing chemistry together. The arc of the darkness coming and it being the Daleks, the reality bomb, all that. Davros, just everything about this series, I bloody love. It is fantastic. It is the best Doctor Who series of New Who. You can think it's series 5. You can think it's series 6. You can think it's series 2. You can think it's series 7 for all I care. But for me, series 4 was the peak of New Who. And hopefully one day we'll get back to that. But for right now, Series 4, without a doubt, is the best series of NewWho. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my list. That's my list of every series of NewWho, start to finish, ranked. You can tell what I like from this ranking. You can tell that I think the Russell T Davies era is better than the Moffat era. I think that David Tennant's series are pretty good. Matt Smith's later series aren't that good. Capaldi's are sort of in the middle. And that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a blast making it. Join me for Sunday for where I review the finale of Doctor Who Series 11. I'll see you then.